Hello, welcome to this last class. This is not a note writing class. This is just going to be a review over what we have learned the last 7 weeks. I am going to just do a quick review over the notes. So if you would get your notebook, open it because I want you to have it as we just kind of go through it really quick. And then I am going to give you some sentences. I did give you a handout. You may have already done your handout, and that is wonderful. If you did, you can then now grade it as I go through it in class, or you are welcome to do it with me in class. Let's get started. Turn to the first page of your notes. Here they are, the 6 sentence patterns. I'm not going to go over all these 6 sentence patterns. I just really, as in right here on this page, I just want to remind you that these 6 sentence patterns are here for a reason. You cannot change the order of each pattern. For example, number 3, a real common error that students will make is they'll do the noun, verb, noun 2, noun 3. But you can't do that. It has to stay noun, verb, noun 3, noun 2. The noun that is going to follow the verb in this sentence pattern is the noun 3, and so you can't make it be a noun 2. Also, remember that none of these up through 5 will not be in prepositional phrases. So make sure that you take out every prepositional phrase. If you are struggling, see if you've maybe missed a prepositional phrase. And remember, a prepositional phrase starts with a preposition and ends with an object, which is a noun, the object of that preposition. Just wanted to be clear on the sentence patterns. Do not change them. If they don't fall in line with what our notes say, then the sentence pattern is not correct that you may be trying to use. On to the next page. Nouns, you are very familiar by now what nouns are. The fourth person, place, thing, and then the fourth one, quality or idea, do not forget that. That is one that's easily forgotten because you don't see it a whole lot. Just remember what quality and idea are, honesty, love, kindness. I like to think of it as characteristic traits. That kind of helps me a little bit when I'm trying to find different parts of speech. Verb, of course, action verbs. That's the easiest because that's what we see a lot are action verbs in your writings and the things that you're reading and trying to find those parts of speech. But don't forget there's also verb of being and also linking verbs. And that's not actually here on this page, but we do it later. So a verb of being, and those are is, was, were, are, be, have, will, shall, had. You may want to memorize those if you have not yet done that. Remember, those can also be helping verbs to help an action verb. For example, he is sleeping. Sleeping is that action, but is helping the action there. And don't forget too, here at the bottom, sometimes a word that can act as an action verb can also be a noun, depending on how it's used in a sentence. Let's go on to noun verb sentence pattern. This was very simple. There's not much to talk about here, but I do want to remind you, mark out those prepositional phrases, then find the verb. When you find the verb, what do you ask? What is happening in the sentence? What's going on? What is being done? And then when you find the subject, you ask who or what verb? Who or what did the verb? Let's go on to noun, verb, noun 2. What is the noun 2? The noun 2 is a sentence pattern. I'm sorry. The noun 2 is a direct object. And if you forget how to find the noun 2, you ask verb, who or what. I like to say subject, verb, who or what. It makes a little bit more sense to me. If you have any questions about this, I think this sentence pattern is probably pretty easy for you. You can look over the sample sentences and look over the notes. We're starting to get a little trickier here. This is where I start to see a little bit of confusion starting to set in. This is on into the third sentence pattern. The noun 3 is your indirect object. It is the object that receives the action indirectly. How to find the noun 3? You ask verb to whom or what. And down here, ask verb noun 3 to whom. So let's look here. The stewardess offered Sally a peppermint stick. Remember, when you see multiple nouns, you can start to get a little suspicious that this is probably, if there's not compound nouns, it's probably going to be a noun, verb, noun 3. Noun 2 could be a compound sentence where it has two different sentence patterns, but in this situation, for example, the stewardess offered Sally a peppermint stick. No compound sentence there. We have stewardess offered. What did she offer? Or you could say whom, to whom, or for whom. Okay, Sally. But it's easier for me if I first find that direct object. Stewardess offered what? Stick. See, I get over there to stick, and then back to whom was it offered. Let's look here. The noun linking verb, noun 1. As you can see, always a linking verb. Many of those look like be verbs or are be verbs. The N1 stands for what? Predicate nominative. And sometimes they are linking verbs. These linking verbs here. There are sometimes linking verbs like taste, feel, felt, and we use those in sentences in which they're not being an action anymore. So for example, the rose smelled sweet. Roses do not have noses. The rose can't smell like we can. Now we can smell stinky. That means that we have a linking verb, and the word following it is either going to be a predicate nominative. If it's a noun and it's renaming the subject, it's a predicate nominative. In number 1 here, the rose smelled sweet. Sweet is actually an adjective, predicate adjective. These two sentence patterns, 1 and 2, the sentence patterns here are not noun linking verb noun 1. They're actually going to be the predicate adjective, noun linking verb adjective. 2 qualifications of noun 1. Do not forget, if it's a noun 1, it must follow a linking verb, except in a question. When you see that and it's a noun, you know it's predicate nominative. It's very simple. You have no action. You have a verb with a noun following it that renames the subject, which number 2 has to be another name for the subject. You've got a noun 1, predicate nominative. And the noun linking verb adjective, almost the same thing, except that it's an adjective describing that subject, not a noun. But it also follows a linking verb. Don't get those two confused. If one that's following the linking verb is describing the noun, it's an adjective, predicate adjective. If it's renaming, if it's another noun that gives that subject noun, a rename, then it is a predicate nominative. And on to the last sentence pattern. Noun be adverb. This is where the be verbs, here the be verbs that were listed earlier, we have them again. If there's no action, if there's an action verb following the be verb, it's probably just being used as a helping verb. If it's just that be verb like is and there's nothing else besides it, maybe it goes right into what looks like a prepositional phrase, which is a prepositional phrase. It may also be acting like an adverb. The adverb answers only the questions when and where. When and where when you have a noun be adverb sentence pattern. Again, look over the notes. If any of these areas are weak for you, look over those notes so that you can be clear on what it is that once you read back over the notes and maybe watch the class again, I think it'll get easier for you. Go ahead and get out your worksheet, your handout. What we are doing here is we're going to label the sentences, and there's all different types of sentences. So number 1, the boy is at the mall. Now I do see a prepositional phrase. We could, because we're doing all sorts of different sentence patterns, it could be acting like like an adverb. So we maybe don't want to just scribble it all out. Maybe you just kind of want to underline it to remind yourself that that's a prepositional phrase there as far as you know. The verb we see is. Who is? Boy is a subject. Boy is. I see no action action verb after is. So I don't think this is just a regular verb here. Has to be a be verb. So I'm going to erase this. Oh, I erased everything. We're going to put noun, be, and what comes after when you have this sentence pattern, noun, be, an adverb. Boy is where? At the mall. Number 2, and we're not diagramming. You're welcome to diagram if you'd like, but I'm not going to do that in class. I just really want to concentrate on you knowing these sentence patterns. Number 2, the dog chased the car. First, do you see a prepositional phrase? I do not see one. I see a verb. What's the verb? Chased. Who chased? Dog chased. And then I see another noun over here. Dog chased what? Car. And I don't see any other noun. That would have to be a noun too. Some in the past, just over the years, will put the as a noun 3. They'll do this, like this. That doesn't make sense because the is not a noun. So why are we acting like the is a noun? You can't do that. So don't just go plop it in letters because you really don't know what you're doing. Stop and say, hey, I'm not really sure on this. Let me see if I can find it in my notes. Noun, verb, noun 2. Number 3, Betty offered her friend a cookie. Do you see a prepositional phrase? What about a verb? What is happening in the sentence? Offered. Very good. Who offered? Looking for that subject. Betty offered. Now, this is where I like to say, Betty offered what? What was offered? Cookie. Oh, my mouse. Cookie is noun 2, direct object. That's what was directly offered. And to whom was the cookie offered? Friend. Number 4, the baby crawled across the floor. Do you see a prepositional phrase? Across the floor. Mark that out because I see an action word. When I ask myself what is happening in the sentence, I actually see action here. And the action is crawled. Crawled. And then we have who crawled? Baby crawled. Number 5, did you buy a new book? Do you see a prepositional phrase? Now, I want to tell you something here. When you see a question, you know something's going to be a little different. It's not going to be just a normal sentence pattern because the words are mixed around because it's a question. The verb here is buy. What is happening? Buy. But we have this helping word over here. We need to connect it, connect the two, did buy. Now, who did buy? You. That's the subject. You did buy what? Book. So what would book be? Book needs to be a direct object. You did buy book. Number 6. The fruit tree fell during the storm. Do you see a prepositional phrase? During the storm, yes. And the action is fell. What fell? Not fruit fell. The fruit didn't fall. The tree fell. I'm sorry when sometimes I write over the word. It's just my mouse decides to go crazy on me. Fruit would be an adjective there describing tree. What kind of tree? A fruit tree. Number 7, skunks are smelly creatures. Do you see a prepositional phrase? All right, so we have skunks are smelly creatures. I see a verb. What kind of verb is it, do you think? It could be a linking verb or a be verb. If it's a be verb, we're going to see, let's just underline it because we're not really quite sure yet. I see skunks, and then skunks are smelly creatures. Creatures is another word for skunks, right? So that would make this a linking verb. Skunks are, and creatures would be the predicate nominative, noun 1. My family is moving to Florida. Do you see a prepositional phrase? To Florida. What's happening? Moving, but we want to make sure we include the is because that's a helping verb there. Is moving. It's acting like a helping verb. Who is moving? Family is moving. If I am moving too fast, just push pause and play when you're ready. Number 9, the child cried for her dog. For her dog, very good, is a prepositional phrase. Cried is the verb, and who cried? Child. We have had several noun verb sentence patterns. There's been 4 of them so far, it looks like. Number 10, he was an excellent teacher. Do you see a prepositional phrase? I see a verb. I don't see a prepositional phrase. The verb is was. I'm going to guess because of the sentence, it's a linking verb. He is a subject, and what word links? Is it an adjective that links back to he or a noun? If it said he was excellent, then it would be excellent being a predicate adjective. But instead, excellent is describing teacher. So teacher is going, you do not have to do that loop there. I only did that. I will erase it. I only did that because I wanted you to see that excellent does describe teacher. He was an excellent teacher. You may want to pause this because I am going to clear the board in 3, 2, 1, clear. Ten more sentences. If you're getting tired, you may want to stop this and come back a little later. That's fine. You may want to do it another day. That's fine too. It actually probably would be a good idea if you did this over a 2-day period. Give Sally the recipe for the cookies. Do you see a prepositional phrase? For the cookies. Now, what is the verb? Give. Now, what are we going to do? We need a subject. So, who gives? Sally gives? Sally gives the recipe? It says, give Sally the recipe. Remember, we have an understood you over here. I'm talking to you. You give Sally the recipe. Now, what are you giving? Recipe to whom? Sally. So you have a noun, verb, noun 3 sentence pattern. And above you, you'll need to put in. Number 12. Sally eats the sweet apple. I'm sorry, Sam eats the sweet apple. Do you see a prepositional phrase? What's the action or what's happening in the sentence? Eats. Who eats? Sam is a subject. Sam eats what? Now, how do I know to ask that? I mean, I know just looking at it what the sentence pattern is going to be, but that's because I've done this a lot, these sentence patterns. You know, after a regular verb, it can either be that you're going to stop because it's a prepositional phrase, or it's going to be a noun, verb, noun 2, or noun, verb, noun 3, noun 2. It's the only option. So if you don't have a prepositional phrase, you've got 2 options. So regardless, if there's no prepositional phrases that you're needing to deal with to where you only have a noun verb sentence pattern, then you know to ask who or what after you do the verb. That's just an automatic. And if there's more nouns beyond that, then you can start looking for the noun 3s. 13. The sunset looks beautiful. I definitely do not see a prepositional phrase, and I do see a verb. But in this sense, I know that sunset can't look at anything, so it has to be a linking verb. Sunset is our subject. Beautiful is what? It's a predicate adjective. I think that we just usually do ADJ. The ball rolled across the road. This one's easy. You can do it by yourself. I'll give you a few seconds. All right, I'm going to show you across the road is prepositional phrase, rolled is the verb, noun is the ball, noun verb sentence pattern. If there was another word after this, rolled, then you would want to start looking for that noun too. But there's not. It just immediately goes into a prepositional phrase. Number 15, the cake is on the table. This is our newest sentence pattern. We have on the table. Is a be verb. There's nothing it can link to. Cake is here, and then it on the table tells, excuse me, on the table tells where the cake is. And that was one of the questions that an adverb will answer. When and where. So here we have where. Number 16, throw me the ball. Throw is a verb. What's the subject? Did you say me? Me throw the ball? Does that make sense? No. Who throws the ball? Who throws? Again, we have that understood you. You is a subject. You throw what? Ball to whom? Me. Noun, verb, noun 3, noun 2. Number 17, the only flavor was chocolate. I see a simple verb. I do not see prepositional phrases. Was, and we have chocolate, which is a good adjective, so this has to be a linking verb. Flavor is what is being described. Only flavor was chocolate. Actually, I'm going to call that a noun 1. The only flavor was chocolate. Chocolate was the flavor. I think chocolate's is a noun that would describe or that would rename the flavor. I'm going to call it a noun 1. We baked a cake for dessert. Do you see a prepositional phrase? For dessert, and then we have we baked cake. So verb is the action. We is the subject. Baked what? Cake. And then you can't use dessert because it's in the prepositional phrase. So we baked dessert for cake. So that wouldn't make sense if you went noun, verb, noun 3, noun 2. We baked dessert for whom cake. So you got to go through and ask those questions. Say it in those ways to see if the sentence makes sense to you. 2 more. And this is supposed to be a question mark. I'm sorry about that. Did the children grow hungrier towards lunchtime? We have grow here. Child is a subject, and then did grow. And we have actually a prepositional phrase. I did not take it away right away. That's not good. Did the child grow hungrier? Okay. We could wonder if this is a verb, except that it doesn't really make sense because did grow is not an action verb. Did grow would have to be a linking verb. So I'm going to say that hungrier is an adjective here. Child did grow hungrier. Hungrier is that adjective. Number 20, London is very foggy and rainy. I see a linking verb is, and then foggy and rainy are going to be adjectives that describe our subject, London. London, noun, linking verb is foggy, rainy is the adjective describing London. As you become more and more familiar with finding these parts of speech, it will start to make more sense how you can figure out things like 19. Did grow is an obvious linking verb because the child did not actively grow hungry. He didn't grow big hungry. That helps to determine that hungrier would be an adjective. I hope that this helps you a lot. If you had any questions before, I hope it really helped you a lot. Really go back over the videos if you need to, look back over the notes. Use if you have workbooks at home or asking maybe for direct objects, use the sentence pattern. Go over the notes before you do it, and then go through it. It should be much easier for you to do it. I'm going to clear this now in 3, 2, 1, clear. And I want to show you another game that I made, another Jeopardy game. I will leave this link in. We're not going to really spend much time playing it now just because you can play it at home. I made it for you so that you can play it at home. I'm going to get into it now. When you start this game, if you have only yourself playing, then just put one team. But if you have more than one, just however many you have, you can click on it. I'm going to put one team because that's all we have right now. I am not going to actually play this. I just wanted to show you the different categories. Here I have English notes. This category will be about things from our notes. Sentence patterns, you will be identifying some sentence patterns. And find it is that you will locate certain parts of speech. Prepositional phrases, you will find prepositional phrases. And verbs, just different questions about verbs. Let's start with English Notes 200. The noun to is called this. Well, I know that the noun to is called direct object. So what is the direct object? That's it. What is a direct object? Good. 200 points. Make sure you add here at the bottom your points. Just put plus. It'll put whatever it needs to. Sentence patterns for 200. Let's do that. The most excited boys were Angelo and Jim. I see a linking verb with no action verb, so it can't be a helping verb. Linking verb is were. Subject, I would say, would be boys. Boys were, linking verb, and Angelo and Jim. Angelo and Jim are nouns, and they rename boys. So I think it's a noun linking verb, noun one. What is a noun linking verb, noun one? There it is, plus, and now we have 400. Continue. Find it. Let's do an easy one. The direct object in this sentence, the car pulled a trailer through the traffic. We know pulled is a verb. Car pulled what? Trailer is the direct object. What is trailer? That's right. Plus and continue. Over the prepositional phrase, let's find a prepositional phrase. Let's do for 300. The prepositional phrase in this sentence, the dog in the woods is wild. What is in the woods? Got it? Plus. And the last one, let's do, this one is on verbs. Let's do 100, or should have done 200. That's okay. This verb used in a sentence pattern describes when or where. This verb used in a sentence pattern describes when or where, or it answers the question when or where. I think that it's a be verb. I'm sorry. This verb used in a sentence pattern describes when or where. Oh, an adverb. It's an adverb. Let's see. I may be wrong on this. Let's check and see. I'm going to say, what is a be verb? That question, I need to work on that. It's a little confusing. Let's see what it says. What is an adverb? Yes. It it really, I need to probably rephrase this question. So when you play the game, you will probably see a little different way that I've written this. It's a little confusing there. That is 900. Now, the way I would play this game if you're playing by yourself is decide how many points, like maybe you want to total up all these points to see how many are possible, and then see if you can get 3,000, 4,000 points and kind of play against your goal. So you're going to try to meet your goal of 4,000. So you got to at least meet that. 4,000, it can be any number. But this is how you play, and I will be putting the link to this game in the classroom for you to see. I have enjoyed this course. I've enjoyed sharing with you what I have learned about English grammar, and I really hope that it's made it easier for you. I would love to have feedback so that I can change the way I do it this course if I need to, or I would like to have feedback as to what you like, if you liked the creative writing or if you thought it was good. Maybe you liked the way the videos were done. However, whatever or maybe you don't like the way it was done. Please share with me, and don't worry, you're not going to hurt my feelings because I really like constructive criticism. Anything I can do to make my classes more exciting and more interesting and more helpful to you, because I really want to make sure you feel successful after this course. Thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you for sharing your work with me and your creative writing. And please keep an eye out for more courses that will come out in the future. Thank you. Bye-bye.